Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today we're talking about Redfoot tortoises. They're awesome. Okay, so this is our adult Redfoot group. I say adult because there's actually only 4 adults in here. There's one taking a little bit of a yawn. There's one adult, that's a female. Her name is Buzz. There's another one, another female. Her name is Wobbly, and I can explain why we call her Wobbly because she's got some issues, but she does great. She's healthy. And that is another female, adult female, and this is Woody. Right back there we have a younger juvenile, and there's another younger juvenile. I think he's walking back into his hide back there, in there. And we also have our adult male, who I think is in his hide right there, and that is Bumpy. And he is just the most cool tortoise in pretty much the entire planet. Anyway, this is our adult group. These juveniles here are, they were introduced to this group last year, and they're doing great. They're obviously not mature, they're not ready to breed or anything yet. So our adults in here do breed. Right now we have about 30-some eggs in the incubator, and they are starting to hatch right about now. They take about 120 days, give or take, usually a lot longer than that. But we'll be flush with hatchlings. Probably over the next few months we'll be having tons of hatchlings. This is a South American species, so you know, they don't need it all that humid. They will benefit from a lot more humidity than, let's say, a sulcata or a Greek tortoise or a Herman's tortoise. So they do get a little bit more humidity than those. You know, these are types of tortoises that don't necessarily live solely in the jungle. They live on the edges of the jungle and the plains of South America. You don't want to keep them in a totally moist habitat. One, these are tortoises, not turtles, but 2, you'll get shell rot and all that kind of stuff, and which is not fun. So these guys are kept in our greenhouse in the wintertime. Out here 24/7, and in the summertime or spring, once it warms up, they will go into their outdoor enclosure, which outdoor keeping, while the greenhouse is great, outdoor keeping, nothing compares to it. So if you have a tortoise and you have the ability to get it outside and keep it outside, do it. It from a health standpoint, from a lot of other reasons, it makes life a lot better for the tortoise, and to be honest with you, it's easier on you. In the greenhouse, you can hear in the background, we have a tank in here with turtles in it. That helps keep the humidity up. They're surrounded by plants and all kinds of stuff that make it, you know, it's just a lush environment. So it's nice in here, actually. I like hanging out in here. So let's go through some basics on these guys. So we'll start by gender. So we'll grab her real quick. This is a female, and one of the ways you can tell with a Redfoot is what they call wasping. The sides of the male, and I'll show him to you in a second, go in on the sides a lot of times. Not all the time, but with most Redfoots they do, and they form like a kidney shape or a peanut shape. And normally the females are more straight, and their shell state more oval. But females normally have a smaller tail. You can see the little button of a tail there. And their plastron is relatively flat. Now her is interesting. Sometimes they show male attributes. Now this one is definitely a female because, well, the tail, there are a lot of other aspects. But she also lays a ton of eggs. But her plastron is slightly concave. I'm not sure if you can see that too well in the video, but most females have a really flat plastron. Now I'll compare her to a male, and let me grab him. So here's a male. So the first thing, you see that wasping on the sides. See how his sides kind of go in a little bit on either side? He's got more of that kidney, or not kidney, probably a peanut shape. They call that wasping. You can tell he's definitely a male by his huge tail. He's got a really big tail. Got a really dirty plastron too. But his plastron is really concave. I'm not sure how great that's going to come from the video, but you can see that goes way in. And that helps when he goes to mount her. That helps keep him on top of her. So that's definitely a male Redfoot tortoise. Another thing about Redfoots is actually all tortoises, but another thing about Redfoots is pyramiding. And you'll hear a lot of folks talk about pyramiding. It's related to improper care and all that stuff. We got bumpy as an adult, so I'm not exactly clear on his previous care, but you can see, you know, he's got some pyramiding going on here. Some of his scoots are actually indented a little bit, a little funky, but he does great. Most of the time, pyramiding doesn't impact their health. It could be related to metabolic bone disease, but in this case, this guy is amazingly healthy, and he does perfect. He is an incredible tortoise. He's just a personable guy. So, but compare him to her, and you can see she's got a relatively smooth shell, little tiny little bumps on there, a little bit, but nothing to talk about. We raised this one from almost a hatchling. She's a little over 10 years old now. But this is what your tortoises should look like. Now, if they're a little bit bumpy, you know, it's not gonna really hurt the tortoise all that much. But you want to make sure that you keep the right environment, feed them the right foods, maintain a proper humidity, keep up on your soaks, and all that fun stuff. So you can compare her to him, and he's an extreme bumpiness. Now, I'll show you another female that has a little bit more bumpiness, but nothing really, again, to talk about. You can see her. She's a little bit more bumpy, a little bit more pyramided. Again, not that bad. We did raise this one from a hatchling as well, in the same conditions as the previous one. But you know, some of them get like this, some of them don't. Again, these are perfectly healthy tortoises. They do great. They lay eggs. They eat. They interact. They're active. Their eyes look great, and they're just cool. So in their enclosure, you know, the bedding that they have is a mix of peat moss, organic potting soil, a little bit of sand, and mulch and hardwood mulch. You can see that there's a lot of fresh mulch. This is cypress mulch in here that I just put in. I like to freshen it up a little bit. Sometimes the bedding that they're on, it tends to break down. So I just freshen it up. I don't really spread it out. They do it on their own, to be honest with you. If I did not put new top dressing on once in a while, these guys would be just dirty all the time, and you know, it would turn into mud. I keep the substrate in here relatively moist, not wet, but moist. Just good enough to keep the humidity up for them. You know, these are tropical species. These aren't temperate species. So you can see here, if I dig down a little bit, it's not wet. It's not mud, but it does hold together a little bit. And you want it to hold together like that, especially with Redfoots that are laying, because they need something solid to kind of build that nest cavity. So that's what the substrate looks underneath of all this stuff, and this is just brand new cypress mulch, and they like it. So I just do that every once in a while just to keep it fresh until they go back out for the spring. This one is about 11 inches. She started laying eggs about 10 inches, 10 and a half inches. She's about 12 years old. This one is about 6 years old and obviously not done growing. So here's a good example of a 4-year-old tortoise, 2-year-old tortoise, a 10-month-old tortoise, fresh hatchling, 10-month-old tortoise. From an adult to a very, 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 very fresh hatchling, that's what you get. So these guys are great. We hatch a bunch every year. They're the cutest little things. They're relatively, as long as you do all the right things, humidity, heat, the proper food, soaking, all that stuff, these are pretty easy tortoises to raise up. A lot of folks do it very different ways. I hope to show everyone just how I do things and the success that I've had. If I have a failure, I'll show it to you. Everyone fails. Everyone has times when it just doesn't work out, or they make a mistake. But generally speaking, the way I raise these tortoises, they do well, and they're very healthy, very robust, and they're great. So this is really an intro video on how we keep our Redfoot tortoises. There's a lot more to this. We'll be doing more videos on more specifics, heating, lighting, food, what kind of food that they should eat. That goes for our Redfoot tortoises and a lot of our other tortoises as well. These are amazing animals. I love keeping them. They are common in the pet trade, but I don't care. I think they're all very special in their own right. They're very rewarding to keep, but you do have to do it the right way. There's a lot of information. Some folks do get intimidated on how the different ways of keeping, the different parameters should be. But once you get the hang of it, it's really nothing. So thank you again for watching this video. Really appreciate it, and we'll see you again.